Hi traders, I'm going to try to make this one quick. I know I said that yesterday and it still lasted 10 minutes. Hopefully I can live up to that promise today. Over here briefly, this is the pre-market. I actually started getting short over here, and I'd like to point out some of the risks of trading in the pre-market. One of the things that can happen is the Federal Reserve or whoever can report news that's unexpected in the pre-market. So you do have to be careful trading over here. I remember one incident before. I took a short on what I thought was the International Trade Report, and at 7:30 in the morning, the Fed announced some, I don't know if it was an interest rate cut or what they did, but long story short, the market went from here up. I shorted what I thought was the International Trade Report, and before it was over, I was up here somewhere before I found out what exactly happened. So be very careful trading in the pre-market. And this is what I did in the pre-market. This is just one contract here. Add another one here, and I was actually at break even over at this point. Now, as the market opens, it's obviously going against me. So these orders I canceled, and I'm only selling one here. I actually had it correct down here. The market did come down past my break even point, but I didn't take it off. I kind of wish I had. So long story short, I'm just nibbling on the tops here, and then when I got up in the bands up here, that's when I'm increasing my size more aggressively. And one thing that's important to point out is when you do this, you really have to have this pre-planned so that your drawdown is within acceptable limits. And this is what my drawdown was on this trade. It was not even 1%. It was 0.12 of 1%. So very, very small drawdown relative to account size. And so I'm increasing my size more aggressively up here. And then I took that trade off at this point, right on the trend on support. So whenever you're going to trade counter trend like this, you do have to be very mindful about the amount that you're going to go in the hole. And obviously, this doesn't look pretty in hindsight. The market's obviously going against me, but in terms of risk, this is what I'm facing. So it's next to nothing. My drawdown there is not much at all. So I'm saving the eventual trigger for up here. Now, another reason why I do this, and this may not make perfect sense, is by nature I'm a risk-averse person, and I think most people can say that. Most people are risk-averse, and it's kind of an oxymoron since I'm trading futures. But I'm saving my best for last, so to speak. And if I don't do this here, I know based on my nature that I'm not going to increase my size up here to the point that I have to if I'm already in the market here. So I kind of want to put myself in a position where I don't have any choice but to increase my size somewhat aggressively there. And even there, it wasn't a huge trade. I think it was 8 contracts. And so I kind of do this intentionally to put myself in a position where I have to increase my size. I just have no choice. And you do have to be careful doing that. I mean, because the market could just go on a roar. And based on the news that was available this morning, there was nothing to suggest that that was going to happen. So I felt that the risk of doing this was pretty good. So I did do that. The drawdown was minimal. Now this one I'm sure you've seen these trades a few dozen times. When we got up to this point, up to 14 to 14.50, price action here told me the market, or the risk of the market going down was higher than the market continuing up. So I took those off for not a bad profit. I guess anytime you sell higher than you bought is a good trade, but I definitely left some on the table there. Best case, I would have gotten out of the 22 here. So some money on the table there. Now over here, my entry was just about perfect. Now here's something I want to talk about. My internet connection on this computer shut down for about 30 seconds, so my orders are all messed up. They're just straight lines, and obviously I'm moving my orders up and down with the movement of the market. But I had an order placed up here at 825 that's not going to show up since I had to reset the platform. And when the market was coming up here, I backed it off to, I think, 26. Now, this is a pretty important concept. If I get short and the market goes up, 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 the risk there is pretty obvious. But what happens if I have an order sitting here and it doesn't trigger? The risk there is not so obviously, but it's equally as destructive because I get short here at 23 and then again here at 25. Assume they're the same size. My average is 24. So once I come down to here, I can take it off at, let's say, 23 with a decent profit. Well, not decent, but a reasonable profit at 24 minus 22. 22 is where I was talking about taking it off. So I'm looking at 2 points there. Since this didn't trigger, I don't have that option. So it changes the whole dynamic of this trade. So not getting triggered here can be equally destructive as getting triggered and the market moving aggressively against you. So that's another weakness of this strategy, is not getting in the market when you need to. You're faced with the choice of, do you chase the market down? Do you wait for the market to come back? Do you cancel this order completely and wait for it to come up here? Difficult questions to answer. And as you can see, I didn't do any of those. And what ended up happening was I added another one here coming down. So I'm in profit territory at this point. And obviously I didn't take it. And then I think I was looking at something like this. I felt the market was coming down. This is where my internet went down. I placed a sell stop at 23.25 to come down, and my timing on that was absolutely perfect. It just sliced right through the order and would have come down to 21.25. But since the internet went down at that point, I do have a backup, and I switched to a different computer to manage this trade. But that trigger had gone, so I just stuck with what I had and exited at 21.25. Now here, this is right after the Fed minutes were released, the FOMC minutes, and I can't really describe what I'm doing here. This is mostly watching on the ones. It's just a read on price action, knowing that I'm near the bands. Obviously, this one is a little higher than what I wanted to get in. I wanted to get it here, but I missed this entry and bought up. Not the best entry there. And then these entries are where I'm sizing up on this. So obviously I lost on this, but made money on this. My average was right here. It was at 16.75. So I made 1 point on that. So that was not a bad trade. And then just a quick end of day trade here. This one is a bit risky. I had 10 lots on this one, and we're nowhere near the bands. This, again, was just a read on price action towards the end of the day, and it would be very difficult for me to describe what I'm doing over here. So all in all, a pretty good day. Like I mentioned yesterday, if you want to get on an email list to get these videos, what I'm probably going to do one day, I'm going to show you a trade on the ones, since the fives can be hard to explain after the fact. So what I'll try to do is in the next, perhaps next week, I'll try to record a live trade. If it goes over 10 minutes, I can't post it. YouTube won't let me post anything that's longer than 10 minutes, but I'll try it and see how it goes. And as I mentioned yesterday, if you want me to send out email alerts when I post videos, just shoot me an email. My email address is at the end of this video. And that's about it for today. Until tomorrow.